Five, four, three, two, one. It's us. We back. The
Hello,
Soulful Cream Podcast.
you better flip that piece on your head.
Yes, I am giving you me being back when I was like 12 years old in the mirror, putting the towel on my head and
All you need
flinging
is a
my hair.
all you need is a brush now and hold the handle like you're singing into it
I'm
like
like,
it's a microphone.
you ain't said nothing but a thing. I'll be there. Yes, I don't know why I'm feeling this tonight, but well, one thing, my hair, I need to shave my head, and I've been really
Okay.
lazy over the past week,
Mhm.
and I still haven't done it, and so here I am, here I am, giving it to you like this. So what have you been up to there? Well, first let me say you're listening to the Soulful Cream Podcast, and I am Cream Diggler.
And I am Soulful Mexican.
And welcome, welcome, welcome. So, Soulful, you've been on the road. Tell me what's been going on up
Still on
there.
the road.
Oh,
Still on
yes.
the road. Yes, I'm on the road in the upper Midwest for work. Out here for about 2 weeks and got stuck in Minnesota this weekend in Minneapolis. I don't want to say stuck. It's just not what was on my plan. So
Mm,
I had to uh, I had to be adaptable. And
right,
while
right.
while in Minneapolis, why not go to Paisley Park?
Hello, yes.
And you know what? Whether you're a Prince fan or not, I absolutely highly recommend that you do this tour.
So
Uh,
set the scene for us. You drove up, and what happened?
so I'm in Minneapolis right now, and it's been negative 10 degrees,
Mm,
snow everywhere. But oddly enough, it's very easy to drive around in
mm.
Minnesota this time of year. They do a phenomenal job of keeping the roads clean, even though you could see like 3 feet of snow on the side of the road. They literally just carved out the road and cleaned it up so that you can drive pretty quickly on there. I mean, people are doing 80, 90 on these roads. I was like, oh, okay,
It's like that. Okay.
yes. So
Mm.
so well, and I can't even say the city's name because it's Paisley Park is the complex that Prince built back in the late 80s.
Hmm.
That's basically where he did his recording. He had a sound stage there. I mean, it was literally his complex. He worked out of there. He entertained out of there. Sometimes he lived out of there. But basically, I drove 20 minutes outside of Minneapolis into what seemed like a little rural town. Imagine people living in Houston driving to Katy back in the day. Yeah, although Katy is far more developed now. But yeah, you pull in. There's a gate there. You have to buy your tickets online in advance. It's a big white 65,000 square foot building
Wow.
with several other buildings around it. It looks just like a commercial work building at first, just a white building with a bunch of purple accents. Of course, you see the symbol that is Prince out there. You see the Paisley Park as an insignia that's been designed for him as well. But you get to the gate, I had my phone ready with the QR code because that's how you get in now based on the tour that you select. And they were like, "Oh, you don't need your QR code. We're gonna check you in at the front desk. But what we do need you to do is turn off your phone and put it in one of these yonder sleeves." So
Wow.
there's a sleeve. It's a little sleeve called yonder where you put your phone in and then you seal it. But once it's sealed, you can't open it unless you use their little magnetic device to unseal it. Kind of like
Mhm.
when you're removing security tags from clothes at the store.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, so they don't want you taking pictures on the tour. They make it very clear that you will be asked to leave and you'll be permanently banned.
Oh,
Uh,
shit. Permanently.
but it's not till you get to the end of the tour where the sound stage is and such, where they give you your phones. Well, you always have your phone with you. Where they release your phones
Mm.
and they tell you go ham, take as many pictures as you want from here on out.
Okay. So
But
what were you seeing that they didn't want you to take pictures of?
basically his day-to-day workspace.
Mm.
As soon as you walk in, there's a big atrium, big beautiful atrium with murals everywhere. He had a thing for doves. He actually had a big cage in there filled with doves.
Mm.
And had a kitchen area with a TV and such where he can fix lunch and watch sports. Had a bunch of offices and rooms that have been basically turned into shrines, like a museum. That just tell you about different aspects of his life and his career, his upbringing, his parents, his achievements and such.
Mm.
It's very, very well done. And
Nice.
they're very particular about you not touching anything because they want to preserve it in its original state. The murals, the designs, you know,
Now,
Prince.
is stuff behind ropes? Is it behind glass? Is
Yes,
okay. All
both.
of the above. Okay. Okay.
Both. Yes, you have stuff behind. You do have some stuff that's loose, but most of it's going to be behind ropes and most of it behind glass.
Okay.
Even the furniture that's there, it's all behind ropes. Like don't sit on the furniture.
Mm.
And it's all furniture that was there when he was there. The staff is very friendly. They are very passionate about Prince. They speak of him like he's still there.
Mm.
Like, oh, like you just missed him. He stepped out. And some of them used to work there when he was there. So
Mm.
they know him personally. The lady that did our tour was explaining how her first experience with him was watching Purple Rain in the movie theaters when she was 12 years old and such
Mhm.
like that. So it's really interesting hearing about Prince's life from a, I guess, a documentary perspective, but also hearing from the people working there and how their own personal experiences with
Right.
him. It just all of it intertwined. But yeah, you get to see the recording studios where he did some of his work. There's some walls that you walk past where they have like a timeline from all the years and what he achieved in those years. You get to see the room full of shoes and his outfits, and he was one skinny bitch. Like, oh my god, like his clothes were so tiny. The shoes were tiny, but they were hot. The shoes, yeah, like literally a room full of shoes behind
Wow.
glass. There's like a glass grand piano case filled with shoes.
Wow.
A wall made out like old speaker boxes that got turned into glass, all filled with shoes to display them, and it tells
Wow.
you where he wore them, which award show, which performance. It's a very magical experience.
That's cool.
Yes, being in this recording studio where he did the hits like "When Doves Cry" and such like that. I was like, wow, all this magic happened here.
Were you feeling, you're an artist, a musician. Were you feeling, what were you
And
feeling?
I felt inspired. I felt overwhelmed. I even felt emotional sometimes.
Hmm.
Which, I'm not the biggest Prince fan, so to speak. I think I
Hmm.
have a newfound appreciation for him after this experience. But earlier in the year you got to see that I got to record a demo for a songwriter in the recording studio. A couple of years ago, I got to
Hmm.
perform on a big stage at one of these pride events with two other artists, with Teresa Griffin and with Frenchie Davis. And it was
Hmm.
just, those experiences for me were magical. And then to be in Princess Studio, in the same style recording studio like the one I recorded in, and then being on the stage, the sound stage, which I'll get to that piece in a second. It just like, wow, it just felt full circle for me.
Cool.
But the very end of the tour, you're basically in this giant, giant room, like a giant gymnasium turned into a soundstage. And he's got some of his cars there, some of his pianos there. But it's literally a big stage with a big screen in the back that's ready for a concert that
Mm.
can fit 1,300 people.
Wow.
And then right next to it is another smaller, more intimate stage that has like tables and chairs and stuff that only fits 200 people.
Mm.
So just kind of a smaller, more intimate jazz cafe kind of feel right next to the 1,300 person stage. And the people that worked there said, the atrium had purple lights that would shine out the glass skylight. And if you drove by Paisley Park at any point in time and you saw it throughout that day that those purple lights were shining, it meant that he was going to put a show in. That he was going to perform that night in his place. So people would just come by to Paisley Park to hang out. And this
Oh
was
wow.
before the time of social media. They would come hang out. Sometimes they would just have a DJ to put music. Sometimes the DJ would be there and then he'd pop up and say, "Okay, I'm going to perform now."
Wow.
Yeah, very, very. Very extra, very random, very lots of things.
So
Sometimes,
eccentric.
yes. Sometimes in the smaller, more intimate stage, they were saying that he would invite everybody, they'd perform, and then he's like, "Okay, you know what? Let's go see a movie." And apparently, he had an arrangement with one of the movie theaters there, where anytime he wanted to see a movie, even if it was in the middle of the night, they would open it up for him. So he told everybody that came to see a show, "Let's go see a movie." So they went to the movie theater. He paid for their popcorn and soda and everything, and they just watched a movie.
Wow.
And apparently, his favorite movie is Finding Nemo.
Oh, interesting.
Uh, so
Sounds great.
yeah, and mind you, I did the cheap tour.
Oh, there's a more expensive tour.
I did the 90-minute tour, which was like $50. But
Hmm.
yeah, there's more expensive tours, like $120 tour, which is a 2-hour tour, and then a $300 one that's a 3-hour tour, which I think you really get to go into his closet and stuff for that one.
Oh shoot.
Yeah,
Lord have
it's
mercy.
yeah, so that's for the super fans.
For real. Yeah. Super, super
but
duper.
but
Mm,
yes, if you're anywhere near Minneapolis, absolutely do the Paisley Park tour. So worth it. Whether you're a Prince fan or not, you will definitely have a newfound appreciation for what this man brought to the table.
nice. Well, while you've been trucking in Paisley Park, I've been still in Texas, but I have been moonlighting with another podcast.
So I hear.
I got an invite from Malcolm of Mel Media Mind to come in. I think he does like panels, podcast panels, and I think I was a what do you call it? Somebody coming in the clutch. Somebody had dropped out,
Uh,
and I came in the clutch, but we had a good time.
I mean,
And
sometimes that works out for the best. I
hmm
mean, that time that Pavarotti's voice gave out and uh and Aretha Franklin had to fill in for
yeah,
him, and it just turned out to be a magical moment. This was your magical
yes,
moment.
Dorma, yes, Dorma.
Yeah, I heard about it too because I had a few people in my inbox. I didn't know you did a podcast. They were all telling me they saw you on Mail
Oh,
Media
talking about our
Mind.
podcast. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm happy because that's when the main reason why I did it was to drive traffic over here. So I'm happy that that worked. Yes, it was so funny you said that because I was, I'm always creating different playlists, new playlists for myself to listen to, and when I was creating a duos or a duets playlist for myself, that I was going through some Aretha stuff, and that Nessa Dorma song came
Mhm.
up. Yes, and that just makes me giggle because I just remember how some of the white people just lost their minds during that, like the classically, like, oh my god, she's not singing it in the classical way or whatever, but it
Mhm.
was so hot. It was great
Yes.
what she did.
Oh God! And last minute, no warm up, no rehearsal.
Yeah,
She's
like
like, "I got this."
I mean, true diva, true diva. But yeah, so I really have been enjoying hanging out with those guys, getting to know them, Malcolm and Greg, and with the Swag for Life, and who else is on there? I've been John, I forget John's his tag name, but a lot of nice guys. So I was been having a good time hanging out with them, and like I said, promoting the Soulful Cream podcast. And speaking of divas, have you saw the video of Mariah Carey's daughter Monroe singing
Yes.
her song? I guess she sang it and then she's lip syncing to what she sang, what she recorded.
A pre-record.
There you go, a pre-recorded track of her singing. What's the song? Do you remember what the song is? It was such a good job the girl did on that. It was one of Mariah's off one of her last couple of albums, I think. I can't remember what the song was.
I'm drawing a blank, but I know exactly what you're talking about because Mariah's standing in the back just watching her while she's doing her thing.
Yeah, so
But
what is
yeah,
your take on that little Monroe singing?
since I'm a lamb,
Hmm.
I'm like, go for it. Encourage the girl. You never know where it's gonna lead.
Right, right.
Obviously, she might have, Mariah's coattails to ride for a little while, but I mean, you never know. You never know what kind of talent people are harboring, and Mariah's mom, Patricia Carey, definitely invested a lot of time and energy and training in teaching Mariah. So why not pass it on?
Exactly. I mean, here, I found the little video. Here we go. See if I get a little sound.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, it's a rap. That's the song.
Oh, it's a rap.
It's
Yes.
a rap for you, baby.
Yeah, because she has a version of that song she did with Mary J. Blige.
Oh, I love that version too.
Mhm.
That's the
Mar-
around the way version.
yes, Mary starts off by telling Mariah, "You need to leave that man alone." Giving her the TED talk before the song.
Right. Yes. Love it. Love it. Love it. Yeah. So kudos to Mariah and little old Monroe getting into it.
Mhm.
Now, the internet is really upset right now, especially Black internet. Is the Mexican internet on fire about this? Well, I don't know how
About
y'all feel
Mariah,
about this next topic about the
oh,
Uno topic, because Uno has officially said that you cannot put a draw two on top of a draw four, or I guess or vice versa.
well, originally I believe Uno said you couldn't stack from the get go.
Is that what they said from the get go?
Origin,
Everybody's upset.
but
'Cause
this
everybody
was
be
years
stacking.
ago. This was
Oh,
years
okay.
ago. Oh, this was years ago. They said that you're not supposed to stack. But
But
I mean, I'm a stacker. I will
right, I come from
definitely
the house
stack.
of stack.
I
Yes.
I never if you were but I've never played with people that stacked a draw two and a draw four. Like if you would have done that at the table, I would have fought you for a little bit because it's two different cards. So
Because
Uno, so for Uno to come forward and say you can't stack a draw four and a draw two is just confirmation.
the justification is okay. I have you draw four, and I change the color to red,
Hmm.
and so you draw your four, and it goes to our other friend. Let's call him old Bob over here. It's Bob's turn. Bob hits it with another draw two. Let's say he don't want to play red. He got a red. Maybe he ain't got a red. He played that draw two and changes the color to yellow, and I got to draw two, and it goes to you. That's the logic of it. But like you say, that's not what you did, and I guess you and Uno was in alignment. But honey, that is falling out of line with the Black households of America. Who
That's
was
because if anybody who's arguing with that ain't living right.
well, I am a sinner and not living right because I believe in the stacking.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm all for stacking, but draw twos go with draw twos and draw fours go with draw fours. I
Oh,
wouldn't mix them.
they're all wild. They're wild cards. They got the wild, the wild symbol. That's the justification right there.
Yeah, I see how we're gonna spend our time at the Uno table arguing more than playing.
Well, this is why I guess now people got to make sure you got to be like, what's the house rules for this for this Uno game, right?
Yeah, ultimately when it comes to Uno, spades, and stuff like that, it's always gonna be the house rules.
And that's what I always ask too when I play spades. I'm like, okay,
Y'all stack,
what are we
y'all,
doing?
y'all stack twos and fours.
And
Mm,
the way you said it, all
mhm,
judgy. Is that what y'all do?
mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I know who I'm dealing with. This is what kind of household I'm dealing with here. Now, it's been it's a really crazy time. Every time you turn around, there's something hot, something crazy going on in the news. I do my best to try to watch as little news as possible because it just always irates me
It's
to no
exhausting.
end. It really is. I mean, I want to stay informed. I mean, in the end, the Republicans always on some bullshit, so I'm just not going to be voting for them no way. So I'm not one of the people who say, "Oh, I vote for the person, not the party." I'm a party voter at this point because I feel like that the Republicans are just so crazy. Rarely have they been middle of the road, so I just am voting Democrat. So I just turn the news off. But occasionally something breaks through to me, and something that has broken through to me is not necessarily politics, but this guy named Davion Irvin who
Hmm.
was stealing monkeys at the Dallas Zoo. What is going on?
So I did the classic When I got the link for that, I did the classic thing that people do whenever they hear, because I didn't see the link didn't have a name. It just says that
Uh-huh.
man arrested for stealing monkeys from the Dallas Zoo, and the first thing I thought, like, was it one of us?
It don't sound like something one
It,
of us would do.
no,
It doesn't. But
it didn't. But when I was like, and I had the same reaction as the NSL skit where they did that too. Once they showed the picture of who got arrested, I was like, ugh, baby, what is you doing? Baby, what is you doing?
I'm like, clearly, what's his name? Davion. I don't, let's say Davion allegedly. He's been accused allegedly. Davion stole these monkeys and other stuff. I'm sure it's like some black market kind of stuff going on. He's trying to, somebody wants a pet monkey at the house, and you
There's some
know,
cute monkeys.
they were really cute.
Emperor tamarin monkeys. Some of them had like a beard and whiskers.
Wasn't that so cute? The
But
little white beard.
yeah, but he was keeping. Apparently, he was keeping them in an empty or not an abandoned, but like an empty house.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure that was just a transition space. He was
I
trafficking
guess
them
so.
monkeys.
Could be. But yeah, apparently he got caught because he. I mean, there was pictures of him where he was wanted for questioning when the monkeys disappeared, and apparently he was at the Dallas Aquarium and was striking a conversation with the lady there about how
Fool.
to take care of monkeys. And the lady just happened to recognize him and was like, so she kind of distracted him and kept him in place while security.
Fool, fool, fool. My God. And then I also read that he let out a leopard uh by cutting a hole in the fence, and the leopard got out or something. I'm like,
Yeah, but the leopard was still on the property,
was it?
and well, they're linking that to him. That
Mm-hmm.
there's no actual proof of that either. Just that he had the monkeys. He had apparently cut the fence to the monkeys as well, but they didn't go anywhere. It wasn't
Mm.
until later that they disappeared. There was also a rare vulture that apparently was found dead one of those
Mm-hmm.
days there. And the president over the zoo had to make a public statement, but I'm really glad that he didn't point fingers to him for all of those incidents without them being proven, because
True,
it's very
true.
easy to do that. I
Yeah.
mean, we've seen that happen so often in in our work environments where
Mm-hmm.
somebody leaves the company or gets fired for whatever reason, and all of a
Oh
sudden
yeah. It's
that's
all
the
Jan's fault.
scapegoat to blame them.
Yeah.
And I feel like, yes, a lot of other things happened, and it's possible it could have been related to him, but until it's proven, you
Mm-hmm.
know, we really need to let it run its course. So I
But
think,
times is hard when a colored man is stealing monkeys. Okay, it is hard. It's really hard out there if he has resorted to what I got to do to make some money. You know what?
yeah.
I'm gonna
Speaking of
go
hard
steal some monkeys.
times, and speaking of hard times, I think that's going to be a great segue to your next topic.
Oh yes, you know we picture this, y'all listening or watching. Hey, you got my Michael Jackson hair in my face, my little tendrils.
It's the Bayangs.
The hey. So picture this: you working hard on OnlyFans because that's how you want to do. Maybe you showing nude parts of your body or just sexually suggestive pictures, whatever. But you're selling yourself, your looks and stuff on OnlyFans, and you have kids, and your kids have PTA meetings, they have functions, and all this kind of stuff. But all of a sudden, one day, your kids bring home a letter that tells you, "Sorry, ma'am or sir, you cannot come to campus because, well, they say you can't come to campus, but you think it's because it's your OnlyFans." And that's what happened to a mom who is currently suing the school because she says she was banned because from volunteering because she is on OnlyFans. Now, did you take a look at that to see what they were talking about there,
I did.
Stoffel?
I watched the video. She's a little pretty blonde woman, so I'm sure the privilege will go a long way, especially in Florida. But no, she wanted to volunteer at her kid's school, and apparently, it got one of the other parents revealed to the school board that she's got OnlyFans, and they started sharing pictures and video amongst each other.
And
And they didn't ban her from doing volunteer work, but they limited what she could do because of the exposure from the OnlyFans. So when she found out about it, when she found out why they were limiting her volunteer services, she got lawyered up because she felt that they didn't have a right to be exchanging her pictures and videos behind her back, which I mean
Oh yeah, they do. They.
it's
I mean,
public knowledge
yeah.
at this
There's
point.
a lot of two stuff happening
Yeah,
here. Two faces stuff.
it is.
The
So
people who saw the videos sharing it and having a problem with it, but girl, you saw it, and then
Mhm.
her having a problem with them sharing it that she put out there. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
So now she's trying to take this more like of a pioneer. Like, I'm trying to do this for all the moms out there who had to struggle in doing OnlyFans and are being
Sure.
held back. Yeah. So it's like, girl.
The Rosa of OnlyFans. Yes.
I was
Okay.
like, okay, sure. But yeah, that's basically what happened. So, that she's suing for mental anguish and all that because they were sharing those pictures behind her back amongst the school board. I mean, like, if that's all it takes to trigger you, you're going to lose your shit when you find out what other people were doing with your pictures and videos on OnlyFans.
Okay, for real though. And other people who doing crazy stuff on the internet. Army Hammer, actor who lost a lot of jobs somewhere around the Me Too height of Me Too. He's an actor. He's known for what parts is he known for playing in? He was in a couple of big big pieces. Social Network. I never saw the Social Network.
I did.
Did you like it?
It's exactly what I expected it to be.
Okay,
It
okay.
was. I watched it once, and that's all I needed.
Yeah,
Rich,
I didn't.
rich,
I
rich
just
people, rich peopling.
rich people. That's what I figure.
Yeah,
Like,
we made money
yeah,
off of this. Now I'm gonna figure out how to get you out this deal and keep it for myself.
yeah. I didn't need it. I was like Justin Timberlake. I'm fine. That didn't help either for me. But Army Hammer. What happened with him? If just in case you don't know, he was accused of talking to some women about uh, cannibalizing them, through after sex or getting sexual gratification from that. A lot of excuse me, a lot of BDSM talk. Um, you know, a lot of accusations of mental abuse, accusations of physical abuse, and uh, Army is finally talking, and he's denying the physical abuse stuff, but he is acknowledging that there was some mental abuse, that he did use people up and leave them when he was done with them. But that's not a crime, right? He is also coming out that he was molested as a child at 13, and that probably has altered his view of sex in some kind of way in terms of he didn't have any power. He said he was molested by a religious figure in his life, I think, at the time. And that led him to a life of BDSM in terms of wanting to be in control, hence his kinks and fetishes as it relates to that kind of stuff. And so some people have been saying, uh, is this a case of ultimately of society kink shaming people and using, when you find out their kinks, using it against them uh, in some kind of detrimental way? I mean, what do you say?
It's funny that that's where you went with that because the first thought I had was when you bringing this up is like, I guess it's not okay unless you're Christian Grey.
Okay, right?
If you're the protagonist of not but if you're one of the leads in 50 Shades of Grey, it's okay. But if you're anybody else, if you're just Joe Smo sharing your kinks and such, we may not. We may have a problem with it. I don't know all the details. Maybe maybe he just tried to force it on them. I really,
That's what they said. He's denying that. He's saying that he said I never tried to force. He said he did do some. I forgot they call it CNs. I forgot the acronym, but basically it's role play. So where he had a plan with the person, like, okay, we're going to meet at Starbucks. I'm going to follow you home. You're going to leave the door open, and then I guess they had a script essentially of what they're
okay.
going to do. Um, And so he said he did engage in some consensual, rape play or whatever,
Hmm.
but he never, attacked. Is what he, according to him,
Okay.
that's what he said.
Or they could have said no at any time
Right? They
and he
could
would
have
have
whatever their
complied.
safe word was. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's interesting. You know, I had a very, very valuable lesson taught to me a couple of weeks ago in Atlanta, and there was the difference between kinks and fetishes.
Mm-hmm.
And a fetish is something you like, and a kink is something you do.
Okay, give me an example.
Fetish. Okay, kink, like you just mentioned, the role playing could be a kink
Uh
if you're
huh.
actually doing it. Fetishes, it doesn't even have to be sexual. It could be something that you just really, really, really into that triggers a sexual, it triggers a really, really high, like people who like feet and socks.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's a fetish for them, because feet and socks, not necessarily a sexual thing, but if it has a way of exciting you in that, it can be considered a fetish.
Okay, but because it's not a kink because it's not something you do.
Correct.
Oh, okay, all right, all right. I think I follow. I think I'm following. So yeah, go
The
ahead.
other thing I was gonna add to that, and if dating him, he obviously mentioned the mental games he played before he left them. And if they're going to sue him for playing mental games in a relationship, then I think the rest of the world is going to be entitled to compensation if they set a precedent on that, because I'm pretty sure we've all had some kind of dating experience
Okay.
where where we got left in the in a what the fuck state.
And I think though also there's been plenty of stuff where someone misconstrued you, misunderstood you. At least I know I have had that where they're like, "Oh, you're an asshole because of this," and I'm like, "I didn't even know that we were in a situation or this was a situation. I thought that we
Mhm.
were this and that." So we gonna be getting. I know I'll be getting less lawsuits left and right for that kind of bullshit. So,
Communication is key.
you know. Speaking of communication, Shania Twain is communicating with us about her life with her stepfather growing up, which I was really surprised to hear this because it's my first time hearing it. I don't know if you've heard this before. Uh, I'm a big fan of Shania Twain. I follow her career, listen to all her music. I watched her reality show that she did shortly after, maybe a couple years after divorcing her husband. Like, I'm a Shania Twain stan, and I don't think she had ever, to my knowledge, mentioned any kind of abuse, trauma she suffered at the hands of her stepfather. She stopped short of saying molestation in the article that she did with people. But she did say that there was some trauma there that she couldn't be a woman. She was afraid to like be a woman around him, meaning like look like a girl, look feminine. She bound her breasts and things of that nature to make herself look less appealing. And I was just like, wow, to live in a home where that is something that you have to go through, it really changes kind of how I thought maybe what she was thinking at the time of the death of her mom and stepfather when they died in that car crash. Uh,
Yeah.
what,
So I
what are you
watched
thinking?
the interview. Well, not the interview, but I did watch the article on that.
Uh huh.
And, she really went into detail of all the lengths that she went to try to defeminize her appearance. She'd wear double bras, she'd do all kind
Hmm.
of stuff just to really make herself look less curvy.
Yeah.
Because, it was the fact that, it was being a woman that made her, that compromised her safety in that
Right.
household. And all I could think of was The Color Purple. Miss
Ah.
Sophia, a girl child ain't safe in a house full of men's. And I'm
Right. Yeah.
sure from the way she describes it, I'm sure that's what her mentality was in that place.
Hmm.
So going into her musical career, which is very, very much, especially as a young woman as she was, a lot of what's going to be a big part of your career is your physical appearance and how you present yourself.
Yes.
And, for her genre, of course, they're going to want to feminize her as much as possible, glamorize her as much as
Yes.
possible.
Show that shape. Be pretty.
So, she had to cope with that. And
Hmm.
obviously, there's still years of trauma there that she has to work her way through. I think it's great that she's opening up about this because we
Yeah.
know that this happens a lot more than it should. And there's a whole bunch of young ladies out there that have gone through the same thing with relatives that probably haven't spoken out either about it.
Yeah.
So it's great that she's going out there and putting it out there for the people that need the inspiration. The one thing that she said towards the end of her interview that I thought that was great is that she's learned to exude this persona where she's confident, but you don't necessarily have to approach her and touch her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where she is in this place now. Like, I'm confident, I'm comfortable, I'm working my way through this trauma, but I don't necessarily need a whole lot of physical contact from people. So, we're already in a place of social distancing thanks to COVID. Let's keep
Hmm.
that energy. Love y'all. You could appreciate you
Right. Love
from
you over
over
there.
there. And
Exactly.
that's one of the things that she communicated that she wants to be able to teach young women
Hmm.
and other people, like, you can be confident and you can be and still be able to give some kind of nonverbal communication to people that, thank you, that's enough. You don't have to come any closer.
Yeah, I mean, you think somebody like Shania Twain, you're like, oh, they have it all, they don't have any problems, and in that same article, she was sharing how um she went through she lost her voice, her ability to sing,
Hmm.
and I think I really do believe, and I think she's talked about this before in other interviews, that was associated with the trauma of her divorce
Hmm.
from Mutt Lang. That somehow that emotional trauma affected her physically, and
I'm
and
sure.
yeah, and because so much of her success was wrapped up in what they did together. So I'm sure there was a whole little confidence issue and all that jazz. But to handle the physical stuff, she did go into surgery, like a throat surgery, where they worked on her cords. And I'm sure you as a singer can only I'm sure that makes you cringe probably thinking about something like that, like having that kind of surgery on your vocal cords or whatever.
I don't know what it's gonna do.
Yeah. Yeah, and so she was talking about how it used to take her 2 hours to warm up, but now it takes her 20 minutes to warm up
Oh,
thanks to
that's
the
good.
to the surgery, which I thought was really cool. She said this is kind of like going full circle. She said in another article that Prince actually wanted to record an album with her after her divorce, but he wanted it to be her to talk about her divorce, right? And the
Oh,
pain of that. And Shania was just like, I just wasn't ready to do it. I couldn't do it
yeah.
at the time.
Apparently, Prince also wrote for Celine Dion. Her picture was in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he wrote under a lot of other aliases.
Get
Jamie, yeah, Jamie Starr was one of his aliases.
okay.
So yeah, I mean, there's some songs we know beyond a shadow of a doubt he wrote. Nothing
Hmm.
Compares to You, made world famous by Sinead
Right.
O'Connor, but he sang it first, and he wrote it for another band as well before it went to Sinead O'Connor. Wrote a lot of songs for Shaka Khan, but I didn't know that he wrote for Celine
I
Dion.
really want to know what that song is that he wrote for Celine. I'm have to look that
Hmm.
up later.
But yeah, the fact that he wanted to write for Shania Twain, that would have been a nice picture to have in the tour when I was there.
I know,
Hey,
right?
Shania.
Shout out to Shania. Shout out to Shania and R.I.P. Prince, wherever you are. So this kind of made me think about childhood trauma. This idea of how what happens to you as a kid can follow you through into adulthood, right? And I began to think about what things am I carrying with me or dragging along, trying to knock them off? Like what stuff from childhood am I carrying? And and so that's something I want to talk about. We don't have to go into a long, long thing about it today, but I was wondering, and I wonder, Soulful, if you have anything that when you think and reflect on that you're like, oh yeah, I react to the world in this way because of what I went through as a kid. Can you think of anything like
Oh,
that?
I definitely have triggers. um, I grew up uh I grew up bullied a lot. I grew up
Mm.
being bullied a lot, all through my junior high school career. I could not wait to get the hell out of there. Every day that I had to wake up and go to school was just another day of torture and trauma in the making.
Mm.
So, I was in a very miserable place in life. And once I got to college and got away from it all, you know, I I didn't know if it was going to be a continuation of what I was already going through. I'm glad it wasn't. I had an opportunity to find who I was, and I realized at the time it was a lot of mimicry involved because I didn't have so many people to associate with. I didn't have older uh, any older relatives, I guess, so to speak, that I could like an older brother or such that
Mm.
I can that I can emulate. So as I was making friendships in college, I realized that I was very strongly mimicking a lot of their behaviors, a lot of
Mm.
their colloquialisms, and kind of adopting their values.
Mm.
And eventually along the way, I kind of found my way.
Mhm.
I like, okay, this is who I am. I'm not gonna hold that back anymore. I think one of the main things that I stopped hiding was I stopped dumbing myself down for people.
Mm.
I remember I was having a conversation with a group of people there, and they were talking about, a shadow in the window, and it's like that. And I was like, oh, you mean a silhouette? And they were like, why do you speak like that? And that's when, I realized that was my time to put my foot down. It's like, what do you mean? Why do I speak like that? It's what it is. It's a silhouette. And yeah, and
Mm.
I realized at that point, as long as I was happy with myself, it didn't matter what anybody else thought. I just it became a journey of me moving forward without needing other people's approval and such. But in spite of the fact that I've made so much progress and become comfortable who I am in my own skin and such, every now and then the triggers are still there.
Mm. Mhm.
I went to a pride event years ago, and they had like a gala night where everybody dressed up and everything. I didn't dress up because I didn't bring the kind of clothes that
Mhm.
everybody else was dressing up in. And I remember one of my friends was there with me, and he's like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm just a little triggered." He's
Mm.
like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, this is supposed to be like a prom night. I didn't go to my prom, and the reason I didn't go to my
Mm.
prom is because I got teased and bullied a lot. I didn't want to be there. So I'm having a moment right now where I feel like I'm going back in time and facing my fears."
Mm. 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 I could definitely relate to that. I think for me, uh, just having a lot of trust issues as a kid, feeling betrayed a lot, feeling lied to a lot as a kid from different sources. So I think that has translated to me, um, as an adult, having to actively leave room for trust. I don't know if that necessarily means I actually trust necessarily, but it's like I hear you and I accept what you're saying to me. It could be a lie, but but I accept what you're saying
I'm
as truth.
choosing to accept it.
I'm just to accept this until I hear otherwise. Like living in that space. Like so,
Yes.
um, and so it's an ongoing kind of journey there. That of course anything associated with coming out and uh, every time you have to to talk to someone about your uh, your sexuality, your orientation, uh, this that
You
moment of will they, won't they have a problem with that kind of stuff.
you know, the biggest trigger for me that comes with that is when you're talking to someone, they're like, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" Because you
Uh-uh.
already know what the question's gonna be. It's like instant trigger. Yes, I am.
Right, right. But we figure out ways to handle it and deal with it, and hopefully healthy and healthily. I don't know if that's a word or not. And and carry on, just like Shania's talking about. I don't know if necessarily we may not always be fully healed when we carry on, but we're carrying on nonetheless, and I think that's important.
I think therapy is very important, and I'm glad that we are in a time and place in today's society, especially in our communities, where it's
Hmm.
become more and more socially acceptable to
Yeah.
see a therapist. For a lot of us in the workspace, it's part of our mental wellness. It's part of the employee assistance programs, and
Hmm.
in the Black as well as the Hispanic communities, people are becoming more and more open to to a therapist being a part of our daily lives, and not just because there's something wrong with us. But
Yes.
technically, there's always something wrong with us.
Right.
But
Right.
but two, uh, having a good support system is also very important, whether it's friends, family, or a mixture of both. It hurts me when I see people in my Facebook talking about they don't have any friend. I would say specifically gay friends, but
Hmm.
and if they don't, hopefully they have people in their support system, straight friends, family, that have some kind of understanding of what they're going through and can sympathize enough to allow them to heal from that.
Yeah, I think usually when I see people who say they don't have any gay friends, it's a couple of reasons. One, sometimes those people don't show themselves friendly. I'm like, you gotta be a friend to get a friend. Sometimes, at least definitely to keep one. And the other thing, sometimes you're so introverted, right? Or you have so much distrust for the community for whatever reason, or you're ashamed of some part of yourself in the community, that you don't want to be a part of the community. But like you said, yeah, if you don't have that, hopefully you can find something.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I'll be the first to say I am extremely cynical. I'm extremely cynical, but I could still operate. And that's funny, mentioning, people that, in order to have friends, you got to be a friend. Because I've run into that too. I've have some newfound social media friendships, and they're trying to be more chatty, and I'm trying to usher them into that, but it's like it's very one-sided. I want
mm.
to tell you about my day, and that's about it. And one day,
Yes.
one specific example, one of them hit me up, "Hey, what's going on?" "Not much. I just got some really good news." What would be the first thing you would say in that situation?
Oh,
You know,
what's the news? Tell me.
exactly. Not what I got. It was like, "Oh, I just got some really good news." It was "Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I'm over here working on this." Just
Oh,
completely,
girl,
completely,
please.
completely missed that cue.
Red flag, red flag, red flag. It's really funny you say you're cynical because you do not operate from a cynical place.
No.
So you definitely operate from whatever the opposite of cynical is. That's the place you appear to be operating from. So,
Okay.
so I guess you're a prime example of you may have feelings one way about stuff, but
Hmm.
your actions is something else. Because I
Yeah.
guess why do you think that is? Why are your actions different than how you feel?
Um. I think it's kind of like what you mentioned earlier with the trust.
Hmm.
It's very similar. It's like I hear what you're saying. Um, I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to afford you so much trust just because you haven't done anything yet
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
compromise it.
Yeah, yeah.
But history has shown,
Yes. Yeah.
history has shown amongst the gays that
Hmm.
in this type of scenario, this will usually be what happens. And
Yes.
so I'm gonna, even though I'm gonna extend myself in this situation, I'm gonna approach it with caution because, I at the end of the day, I still need to protect myself.
Amen. That's right. You got to protect yourself in the end.
Hmm.
See, I got tired of my bangs. So let's go.
You went for the pony.
Look for the pony. Yeah, let me see. Get my long pony. Oh, here she go. Here she go. Oh, there she is. There she is. I'm gonna give you a Ariana
Speak-
Grande high pony next
yes,
episode.
yes, indeed. Speaking of fashionable hairstyles, Super Bowl's not far away, and Rihanna's halftime show is around the corner.
Oh my goodness, right? Like I am
I mean, I'm gonna enjoy the game too.
curious.
I'm gonna enjoy the game too. I'm not
Chuck, a
just
game
watching it for
what?
the. I'm not just watching it for the Rihanna concert.
I'm watching it for the Rihanna concert and that football commercial that happens before and after it. I won't be watching that. I mean, and of course, that is Janet Jackson Appreciation Day, right?
True.
She will be trending on that day. uh,
After
uh, uh,
the wardrobe
hash,
malfunction.
hashtag Janet Jackson Appreciation Day. Just to remind everybody that she is more. Actually, I was thinking about it, going, is it doing more harm than good now at this point? You know what I mean? Like, because every time we do it, it's like, okay, well, why? For people who don't know about it, it's like, oh, well, why is Janet Jackson trending? Why is today Janet Jackson Appreciation Day?
Hmm.
And then someone's like, well, back in 2004, so it's like, is it is it doing what it's supposed to do? I mean, I think it
I
it
think
does.
I think it's just a history lesson now. But as far as the impact the impact that it's used to have is being diminished. I mean, people are just seeing the icon. They're forgetting about the impact that the incident had. I mean, how can you be mad about her showing a titty for 2 seconds when you've got so many people on OnlyFans showing so much more? You
Right.
know, the world has changed. The
Yeah,
world has changed a lot since that Janet had that incident. So,
very
I
much
think there's
so.
going to be more people sympathizing with Janet as a result of that.
I
Speaking of
agree.
Janet, I know you put that on. Like, Janet's getting sued.
Yeah, she's being sued. Apparently, one of her business managers is saying that she owes some money from something. Well, I mean, I'm sure he's a former business manager. Let's start there. A former business manager is saying that they did some work together, and I don't even think it's like a key business manager. It's a guy who probably who was like a plug for some deals that fell through. I think,
Mm.
right? And so he's saying he didn't get his money on that.
Which
And
I saw the dollar amount,
what's the dollar amount he's selling for?
250,000.
I mean,
That's pocket change for
pocket
Janet.
change. That's a concert, right? But one thing I know about her though, she ain't gonna settle unless she really feels like something happened. Because during her documentary, she was talking about how, um, she hated that Michael settled, with the people who accused him of molesting,
Hmm.
because she felt like that was almost admission of
Admission of
guilt.
guilt.
Yeah, and she hated that. So if she follows through with that kind of thinking, they're gonna be going to court, or oh boy, gonna be dropping it. And if she settles, then we know that she did owe something. And it's very possible someone on her level is juggling so many balls. It is very possible that her accountant, her whomever, did not write the checks that need to be written. Right? That didn't pay. Something slipped through the cracks, or a check got held up somewhere. I mean, I think it's all very possible.
I mean, $250,000. I mean, that's such a small amount compared to her net worth. I think he's just hoping it's a small enough amount where they'll want to settle and just call it a day.
Right.
Because the
I
legal
think
fees will cost more than that.
exactly right. Yeah, getting the lawyer up out the bed to handle it is going to be more than that. And then, speaking of legal fees, somebody who's trying to get away from the stigma of what's happened with him is Will Smith, who has recently announced that he is doing Bad Boys 4 with Martin Lawrence. Are you excited about Bad Boys 4? Did you see Bad Boys 3? Let's
I
go
saw
there.
Bad Boys 3. I
I
really
don't think I
enjoyed
did.
it. I
What
enjoyed
happened in
it.
Bad Boys 3? Give me the summary. Maybe refresh my drink. What happened?
So Will Smith's character, Mike Lowry, apparently had a child with a curandera, which
Mm-hmm.
is Spanish, like a female witch doctor. Uh,
Yeah, I did not see that.
no,
Mm-mm.
but apparently, somebody that's very big into Santeria. So she had a son with Will Smith, and kind of uses that son to avenge her. So
Mm.
very attractive young man. He definitely got a lot of attention, and you could see in Bad Boys 3 that Will Smith and Martin Lawrence's age is catching up to them. So I think they needed some young, hot
Right.
sexual energy on the show to kind of keep the appeal going.
Right, right.
Uh, but it was good. It was good. It felt very different from the first two. It felt very different from the first two.
In a good way or a bad way?
Um,
Or just different?
just different. It just I
Mhm.
guess I'm guessing it must have been a different director and all of that.
Mhm.
It just
Yeah,
it
Michael Bay was on the first one, at least the first, maybe first couple ones.
mhm. Yes,
Mm.
but no, but I mean it's definitely it was definitely worth watching. It was definitely I enjoyed it. I didn't, I felt like it was a whole different movie just because the characters of Martin Lawrence and Will Smith were they're at a different place in life now. You
Mhm.
I mean, Martin's always been married with the family, with the kids, and now he's like, but when the third one came out, he's like, should I retire or not? So it's like we missed the last 20 years of his life and career.
Mm.
Meanwhile, Will Smith's character is still single, the single rich boy action junkie,
Mm.
and at some point it's like, okay, girl, you getting old. How long you gonna keep this up? But then again, I guess if we were all rich,
Right?
we were all rich and
Who
had,
knows?
we probably be doing the same thing.
And speaking of rich folks, China, the Chinese, China, uh, not that all Chinese is rich. That's not what I'm saying. But China has a rich economy, and
Huge
they,
economy.
and they have this weather balloon that was found floating over us, and people were saying shoot it down, but they said they decided not to shoot it down because it could cause more damage. It could crash on civilians and cause property damage and all this, that, and the third. It had all these cameras on it. Uh, they said it was big as three school buses. I mean, that's really big. Um, but they shot it down once it got over the ocean. And China had the nerve to be upset about saying it was just a weather balloon. Y'all didn't have to shoot it down. What What are your thoughts about that, Soulful?
Uh, I mean, if you want to see what's going on in the U.S. from way up there, just get on Google Maps. I think, are the Chinese using such an antiquated technology to do, espionage and research on us? Maybe, maybe not. But I mean, there's so much better technology out there for it.
I mean,
But
maybe it's a diversion. Like you
but
said,
at
they
the same,
probably got better stuff, so maybe it's a
yeah.
diversion.
But then again, it is our airspace. They should have known better.
Yes, they should have gave people a heads up. Go, hey, y'all, our thing is crept into y'all's airspace.
Oh, my bad.
Right, exactly. Like, hey, we got ahead of it. We said something. Like, somebody said, I forgot who said it. That the U.S. will probably be at war with China within a decade. That's kind of. What do you think about that? Do what do you think? You think that's true?
I guess it, with their current, uh, with their current ruler being in office for life,
Mm,
I guess it just really depends on what he decides to do with his administration in China.
mm,
And it really depends on what administration we have in power at the time. You
mm,
know, yes, we owe them a lot of money. They're one of the only economies out there big enough to be able to lend us for what we need.
mm.
I mean, for us to start a war with China, it'd have to be nuclear for us to be able to compete because that is just a massive country with
Right.
a massive population.
And that would be
That would
scary.
be, yeah, that's
That
like
was
an end of the world kind of stuff there.
kind of fun, right? Definitely. Well, speaking of end of the world, tonight's are the Grammys. For some people, it feels like the end of the world. For some people, because if they don't win the Grammy, it's over for them. They think, but not for Beyonce, who's up for Grammys, and she could make history as the most awarded
Yeah.
Grammy, most awarded artist for Grammys ever. If she wins, I think what is it, 4 tonight?
Mm-hmm.
It'll put her over, and we already have history added to the books already by this point of our recording, which is
Miss Viola
Viola
Davis.
Davis got her EGOT. I said,
Yes.
look at you, girl.
Look at God
I mean, and I
and
loved
the
her.
Woman King.
Okay, right? I mean, I loved her book. Her book on tape was very well read. It was really good. She was giving us performance. It wasn't just a reading; it was a performance. So I really enjoyed her book. So
You know,
congratulations to her.
the first time I ever saw Viola Davis on film, I just had this feeling like she was gonna go somewhere. She was gonna accomplish such great things. Uh, when she did Misery, when she was the counselor in that Tyler Perry movie, Medea Goes to Jail. She talked about Misery because she said that the role was supposed to go to Oprah, and Oprah, and she ended up doing it instead and got recognized for it. And she was like, "Thank you, Oprah, for throwing me that bone." But I just remember watching her, and she just had a way of playing such a stoic person and still make it engaging.
hmm
And
hmm
I always felt like she was gonna go somewhere, and it's been really exciting to watch her career unfold and all the different opportunities that she's had since then. Loved her in How to Get Away with Murder. She definitely pushed the envelope with
Yes.
a lot of things in that.
hmm
I'll never forget when she had her little entanglement with the other female lawyer, and
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
I was like, Viola Davis, not Jean Grey.
Yeah.
Making
Right.
out with Famke Jensen. I was like, yeah, yeah, she's had quite a career, and it is very well deserved. So I'm glad that not only did she achieve this very difficult status of winning all four of those awards,
hmm
but that she can do that. She's part of that wave now that's starting to hit. Jennifer Hudson, um,
mm
Whoopi Goldberg.
hmm Congratulations, Viola. Congratulations. And I, it's about 8 o'clock on Sunday night while we're recording this, at least Central Standard Time. What time is it there in Minneapolis?
Same as yours,
Oh, say, oh, okay. Oh, look at that. See, I don't.
still Central.
Still Central. Okay, well, there you go. Geography was not my thing growing up. We're not keeping up with the awards as they come out, but I'm sure probably by the next podcast we will be talking about who won what. Um, Speaking of Grammy artists, we already talked a little bit about Janet, but uh, Kris Kardashian was sharing on her social media. Um, Her mom and her went out for a date night, and she was saying that this Janet Jackson song was her mom's favorite song. Can you
Which
guess?
Kardashian?
Kim.
Okay, Kim Kardashian.
Kim went out with Chris. Yes,
Ah,
yes, yes. Kim and Chris went out on a date night. Uh, which I'm gonna give you three songs to choose from. Which song do you think is Chris's favorite Janet song? Or did you read it already?
no, I haven't read that one yet.
Okay, all right. Okay. So,
Based based on based on Chris's personality and her role in her daughter's careers.
uh-huh.
Uh, let's wait a while. No, I'm just kidding.
No, no, no. I'm gonna give you some choices. There's a lot of songs to choose from. Is it The Velvet Rope? Is it Son of a Gun? Is it All for You?
Let's go with Son of a Gun.
All for You is the song.
Really?
Yes, I know. Surprising. I'm surprised that she likes that song.
Okay.
I was like, but when you think about the first few lines, maybe that's what she likes, All the girls at the party, look at that body, shaking that thing like I never did see. Got a
Got
nice
a nice
package, all
package, all
right.
right.
Guess
Guess
I'm
I'm gonna
gonna
have to
have to
ride it
ride it
too.
tonight.
All
So
right. You better ride, Chris.
get it, Chris. Tank, the sexy R&B artist of the who had the hit song "Maybe I Deserve" years ago. Said he's releasing his last R&B album, his last album.
Why?
Um, I think Tank is tired of being underappreciated. I think he release an album called Underappreciated, or it had a song on it called Underappreciated. Uh, he's just tired of being such a talented artist, such a sexy artist, such a smart. He's a writer, a singer. He's a great performer, uh, but yet has not achieved any of the status. I think of some of the other R&B people like Usher or Chris Brown or whomever.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think he's just a little over it. I think he's a little over the game,
Well,
and probably feels like if it's not going to happen for me now, even though he's a very sexy whatever he is, I think he's probably over 45. Um, he just probably thinks it's not going to happen for him now. And I mean, like you, I hate that for him, but I mean, I guess you got to protect your peace. So his last single is going to be a song featuring Chris Brown from his latest album called R&B Money. And he has a lot of features on that album, and he's going to release a single with Chris on that. What do
well,
you think?
I like Tank. I like Tank for a lot of reasons. I think he's a very talented artist. I love the kind of music that he's done over the years. Um, I just I don't think he can be compared to Chris Brown or Usher. For one, I don't think Tank is a dancer. Certainly
No,
not to the level of, Usher and Chris Brown. So obviously with dancing being such a big part of who they are as artists, their live shows are going to be on a whole other level.
sure.
Definitely not something that you can compare to Tank, who's a crooner, so to speak.
Hmm.
Um, I really like Tank's energy. He's expressed that he is straight, but he's also expressed some things that he likes sexually that straight men don't often confess, and he does it with the utmost confidence. Like, okay, you're saying I'm gay because I like to get my ass ate. That's your problem. I know what I like.
Right, right. Love it.
The fact that he would perform at pride events as a live performance, and do it shirtless and be like, yes, I know I'm performing around all these gay men,
And I'm cool with them
and I'm cool with
ogling
it.
me and
Yeah.
sexualizing me. That
Y-
doesn't make, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think, I think those are the things that really are going to have if we had more straight male artists like him that had that kind of confidence to be able to allow themselves to be included in the community without any of those fears or concerns, or what are they going to think about me, or are they ogling me, why I'm into women. No, it's all about the confidence in being who you are, and also and your gift. And he
Hmm.
undoubtedly has a gift in music and in singing, so hopefully he'll change his mind and he'll continue to put music out there for as long as he can. But I think people tend to sabotage themselves when they start trying to compare themselves to artists that are, why they haven't reached a certain status. I know Tiana Taylor had that issue a few years ago, where she was like, I'm going to stop music because y'all ain't giving me the kind of love. I haven't gotten as far as I had hoped. Like,
Right, right.
you know, we all have goals and we all have things we want to achieve. And if we don't achieve it by the time that we set it, we're supposed, what do? We give it more time.
Mhm.
We need to have the humility that we don't know everything, and sometimes we just miscalculate when we set these goals for ourselves. But it doesn't mean that we're not moving forward. And
True that.
Tank is undoubtedly influential.
Most definitely. Sometimes we're not appreciated till, much after our prime. And that does happen.
Yeah, but R&B is just not an easy genre to be appreciated.
Mm.
R&B is a genre where you will write the soundtracks of people's lives. People will remember listening to your music when mama was cleaning the house. Mama will
Hmm.
remember your music when she was making you. But
Hmm.
but it's just never been except for a short period in the 90s, the R&B genre has never been one that's groundbreaking and you know worldwide selling.
Yeah,
You have to do R&B because you love it and you're passionate about it.
yeah. Speaking of passion, one of our final hot topics is the piano lesson on Broadway has come to a close on January the 29th, 2023. Directed by Latanya Richardson, and starring Samuel L. Jackson, and is it David Washington? I think is Denzel's son's name, who's in it, are some of the stars connected to it. Of course,
Hmm.
Samuel and Latanya are husband and wife.
On the show.
Um, it was I didn't get a chance to see the show. I'm actually going to be directing this show next year.
Ooh.
So I was curious as to what they did. That's why I was looking at it and reading reviews and stuff.
Yeah, apparently the Obamas went to the final show.
Oh wow,
And
that's
watched
really
it.
cool. That's so cool. Of course, they were there with Secret Service. I'm sure watching it too. But that's so cool. I mean, the piano lessons are almost a 3 hour show, if not a 3 hour show.
Hmm.
It's definitely a show that's mixture of funny and drama. It's a show about a brother and a sister, and the brother wants to sell the family piano, which is an heirloom that has like the family story carved into it, like from slavery to the present, which takes place in 1936. That's their present, and the sister doesn't want to sell the piano. She wants to keep the piano in the family. She also feels like the piano is cursed with the ghost, and so yeah, so they have this push and pull because he wants to sell it to get money to buy some land and create generational wealth, and but yet she has this other thing about keeping this tradition in the family and
Hmm.
not breaking from it. So that's these two arguments. So that's a great conversation to be had that this play does embrace. It's made the most of any August Wilson play. That's who the playwright is August Wilson. And if you our listeners, if you don't know August Wilson's work, he wrote a 10 play cycle about the life of African Americans from basically throughout the 1900s, from each decade of the 1900s. I encourage you to read some of his stuff. Uh, Even if you didn't see it, I think you can see it in your mind's eye. But definitely, if you ever get a chance to go to the theater and see it, I encourage you to go see some August Wilson.
I can't wait to see when you put your show out.
Oh, honey, I'm already on my research. I'm already on my concept. I'm like,
And
planning.
if you need an actual piano consultant, I'm here.
We will need a piano consultant because they do play the piano on stage, and so there may be something that we need somebody to teach these kids how to play
Hmm.
something.
Or ghost play it from the back of
Yeah,
the.
right. There you go. That part right there. I'm all for that too. So yeah, congratulations to everyone on the historic run of the piano lesson on Broadway. We don't talk a lot about theater here on the Soulful Cream podcast, but I just had to bring that up.
Yeah, we do.
You
Yeah, we
know,
do.
you know.
And it's to be expected.
So what are you watching on TV? Did you watch The Last of Us? Have you watched any of that
I
yet?
have not been watching it consistently. I
Did
did
you at least watch
watch.
that episode everybody's talking about?
Yes, I it was on. So yeah, I was in my room in my hotel in Minneapolis because it was -10 degrees outside, and I was on HBO, and I was like, oh, this is that show Last of Us that everybody's talking about, and it got to that scene. Oh, this is that scene they were talking about.
So okay, if you have not watched The Last of Us and you don't want to get any spoilers, I'm going to take a
Pause
slight
now.
pause, and you're going to fast forward about 5 minutes, maybe four, about this. Okay, here we go. Pause.
Spoiler alert. Please
Spoiler
forward.
alert. Here we go. I watched it and it was good, but there was nothing special. Like nothing viral, I should say. I mean, it was special in terms of it was good to see this couple grow old together, uh, to see them, that's it. To have a real relationship with each other, all that was cute to see. Oh boy, get sick. The one who you thought was going to get sick didn't get sick. The fit one got sick, and then watch them decide to do their little suicide pact together. I mean, it was really touching. But I was like, are we that deprived of emotional connections between gay men in the on TV and film that this goes viral? I was like, what have I been watching? Because I just felt like this wasn't like watching in my beyond this
Hmm.
because I just wasn't moved to the degree that everyone has seemed to have been moved by it. Like, were you moved in that way? Viral moved?
Not at all. I was just like, oh, okay. This
Right.
this was a writing choice.
Right. It was good, but
There was no like, no, not at all.
yeah. Somebody said they cried. I'm like, girl, you did? Like I don't I didn't see it for me. I didn't see there was no tears here. Okay, well we can let that go. So, no hate on the rest of y'all who did watch that. But in the spirit of TV, we're gonna wind things up here with our top three or two or one, whichever you want to do, of what we're watching on television right now. I'll start off with I just binge watched a show on Netflix called the Lockwood and Company. I highly recommend this show if you're into just kind of X File ish. I mean, it's not really fair to say it's like X Files, but they're ghost hunters essentially in the
Hmm.
show. But they're cool. There's in and it's kind of in a dash of Harry Potter, a dash of X Files, you know, because it's featured over teenagers are kind of like the lead primary, but they do interact a lot with adults and um interesting show, Lockwood and Company. I don't want to spoil anything. What you got?
um, so so just a little honest moment. I had a conversation with Cream before the podcast. Like I got set up because I don't watch TV shows like he does. Partially because I'm traveling so much, and two, he's passionate about TV shows. Having the theater background and everything. I get it. I get it. It's like research, seeing the actors, the director's choices, the writing, and I get it, and I appreciate that for. But I just don't necessarily get the opportunity all the time. So I'm probably only gonna have one.
That's
It's
fine. That's
three.
totally fine.
But I've been watching this show on Prime Video called The Legend of Vox Machina, and their season two just came out.
Yes. Oh
Season two
yeah.
came out a couple of weeks ago. They released 3 episodes at a time, and I realized when I when we talked about our podcast today, it's like, oh, I'm behind 3 episodes, so I'm probably gonna binge watch those after we're done recording. But
Well, I'm
yeah,
glad you told me that was out because I love that show and I didn't know that new season
oh
was
yeah,
out.
season two started like 3 weeks ago,
Oh
so you have
wow.
about 9 episodes ahead of you right
Oh my gosh, that's a dangerous thing to do the night before going to work in the morning.
now.
But they're like 30 minutes each or something, right? They're not very long, are
Yeah,
they?
20 minutes or
20
so.
minutes.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
very good. I mean, for those of you that, if you don't know what the show's about, it's an animated show about kind of like a sci-fi thing, Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing, but they've got some mouths on them. The stuff that they say, the shade, everything, it is very entertaining.
Yes, very much so. Okay, I look forward to the new season. Well, I'm going to say just one more because I got to support my people. Octavia Spencer, her new show or her new season of her show, Truth Be Told, is out on Apple TV, Apple Plus.
Mm.
They're in the third season now. Usually, each season they feature some kind of star. Last season was the blonde, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Um, the oh gosh, what's her name? She was in that rock and roll movie. I see her face. Uh, Goldie Hawn's daughter. Uh, gosh, what's her name? Oh, it's gonna bother me so bad. I know her name.
Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson, yes. Kate Hudson was a featured actress in last season. This season, it is Gabrielle Union. She's the featured star,
Oh, okay.
playing opposite her. So
That girl does not age.
she really does not. She really doesn't. Uh, but I love this show because it's really great to see someone who looks like Octavia Spencer, not just a black woman, but a black woman who's curvy, who has a belly, who looks like a regular woman. And I don't mean that in a negative way. And I hope if, when Octavia Spencer listens to this, that she isn't offended by what I'm saying. She's a beautiful woman. But I'm saying, but she's not,
She
uh,
looks like one of
she looks
us,
like one of us. She's like a regular
like the
person,
girl next door.
right?
Like,
Who doesn't spend every
so-
waking moment in the gym and who actually eats their meals,
right? Somebody that we might run into in the supermarket in the line behind us.
right.
Somebody we'd see in church, just an
Yeah.
everyday, neighbor next door, and we love her for it.
And we love that about her. And I love seeing her be a boss in
Yeah,
a show and romantic interests and
because let's be honest,
yeah,
historically, Hollywood has not been kind to those types. So we
exactly.
love that she is who she is. She hasn't had to transform everything about herself to maintain herself
Yes.
in that successful space that she's in. And she's accomplished so much.
Hmm.
So, yes, definitely. I get what you mean.
All right. Well, that is going to be all for us tonight on the Soulful Cream podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Soulful Mexican, as always, it's so good to see you.
Likewise.
And stay
Always.
warm up there. Don't
I'll
get
bring
too
I'll,
cold.
I'll bring you something from Paisley Park.
Oh, cute. What I was trying to think what kind of cute thing is unique to Minnesota. I can't think of anything. Like what's the Minnesota thing? They
They have a lot of lakes here.
a
The
lot of
land of
lakes.
10,000 lakes, and right now they're all frozen.
Oh, cute. Are people out there ice skating and shit?
They're ice fishing.
Ice fishing.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's funny. It's like they put like a little camper in the middle of the lake somewhere, which I guess they're drilling a hole in the ice under it, and that's how they fish out there.
Ooh, scary. I don't trust it. I don't trust it like that. But I guess I'm sure.
Apparently, the movie Grumpy Old Men, they there was
Oh
a scene
yeah.
where they did the ice fishing,
Uh
and
huh.
it's literally how they do it out here.
Oh, lovely. Well, you take care now, and as you all, thank you so much for listening to the Soulful Cream podcast or watching. I am Cream Diggler,
And I am Soulful Mexican.
and bye bye.
Have a good one.